So we've seen that this issue of ethnogenesis has been mentioned by a number of people interested who share our interests in ethnic issues. And what I'm going to do briefly on my computer, I've shown you this program a few times. On this program, which is Foxtrot Professional Search, we can see that there are a number, I'm just trying to find my cursor, sometimes it takes a while to appear. In this program, this allows me, in fact, let's just go into full screen now so that we can see this a bit more clearly. You will see that this program, which is called Foxtrot Professional Search, allows me to type in a keyword. And in this keyword, it will search for a keyword, and in this case, the keyword is ethnogenesis. That's what I put in here. And it will search, excuse me, it will search all of the files, and it will show me the files where there are most incidences of the word ethnogenesis. And so the first is a chapter by James Scott's The Art of Not Being Governed. And so what I can do here is I can go through this particular book, and it will take me to the parts in the book where the word ethnogenesis has been mentioned. After Scott, the place where this word occurs most is Erickson's ethnicity and nationalism. And again, I can quickly go through, and it will take me to the parts of this book where we have incidences. Another very good reference is a short article on ethnogenesis in this book, it is the Rutledge Companion to Race and Ethnicity, and there is an article on ethnogenesis here. And so remember that when we are using electronic sources, this allows us to find and isolate the material that is of most interest to us. You will notice here that another article where this word is used is in an article written by myself, and it's in a book, Ethnic and Religious Identities and Integration in Southeast Asia. And we are going to be looking at this article in this lecture. And so let's go back to the PowerPoint. And so on page 133, I make the following statement. Now, we've talked about the Siamese expansions, the annexing of North Thailand, of Lana, and of principalities, of kingdoms in Nan, as well as the Lao-speaking parts of Isan, and of the incorporation of Malay-speaking South Thailand, particularly Pattani, into Bangkok's newly created, newly expanded kingdom in the late 1700s and the early 1800s, the early 19th century. And they inherited they were governing a kingdom, a polity that was linguistically and religiously and ethnically very, very diverse. And Bangkok considered that its future survival required its transformation into a unitary state. They avoided being colonised by Westerners by ceding territory, but Siam pursued a policy of internal colonialisation. Following the 1932 coup, Siam's new military rulers emphasised the role of Central Thai as the national language, and it emphasised, and the military governments between 1938 and 1944, led by Field Marshal Black Pibun Songkram, promulgated a series of state decrees, and there were a number of them, and we're going to be considering the following state decrees because of the impact that these had on a number of ethnic and linguistic minorities, but I've got a particular interest here in Muslims in the south. So the first mandate was issued in 1939, and it was a mandate that decreed that the country, people and nationality were no longer to be called Siam, but they were going to be called Thai, and that the country would be called Thai, and the people and the nationality would be called Thai. I'm sorry, the country would be called Thailand, and the people and nationality would be called Thai. There was a third decree that was issued in 1939, and this was mandate number 3, and it reinforced mandate number 1 by forbidding people referring to themselves as Northern Thais, Southern Thais, or Muslim Thais. Thai people must cease to do that. They just must use the word Thai without subdividing them. Mandate number 9 was issued in 1940, in June 1940, and it consisted in 4 items. That Thai people must extol, honour and respect the Thai language and must feel honoured to speak it. And that Thai people must consider it a duty as a citizen to study the national language of Thai and must at least be able to read and write. Thai people must not consider the place of birth, the residence, the regional accent as a marker of division. Everyone must hold it to be true that all born as Thai people have the same Thai blood and speak the same Thai language. Birthplace or accent make no difference. Thai people must consider it their duty to conduct themselves as good citizens. They should urge and instruct those who do not know and understand their duty to be good citizens. The last one considers dress, and so this mandate had a particular interest in language. The first 2 had a particular concern to make sure that the correct names were used, Thailand and Thai, no longer Siam. And regional differences in terms of names must be eliminated. And mandate number 9 was specifically concerned with the issue of language. And we're going to be talking a bit more about language later on. Mandate number 10, however, had a change of emphasis. So it wasn't the names, it wasn't language, it was dress. On Thai dress, issued in January 1941, there were 2 items. Thai people should not appear in public gatherings, in public places, or in city limits without being appropriately dressed. So inappropriate dress includes wearing only underpants, wearing no shirt, or wearing a wrap around cloth. And so there were a number of specifications, and that's included the use of uniforms and of wearing polite international attire and polite traditional attire. So I go on in my analysis of this. And so the Decree number 1, issued in 1939, changed the name to Thailand, and issue number 3, Decree number 3 in 1939, forbidden the use of any regional or ethnic religious modifiers to the word Thais. All inhabitants were just Thais. And so this is an example of what A.B. Shamsul, a Malaysian anthropologist, refers to as authority-defined labels. So terms such as Lao and Shan were replaced by the word Thai. Issue number 9 was about language, and as we've seen, number 10 was about the appropriate attire. These decrees represented a state-sponsored project of ethnogenesis indiscriminately imposed upon its ethno-linguistically and ethno-religiously diverse population. Many of these measures specifically targeted Siam's large and economically influential Chinese population, whose newspapers were banned and schools were closed. And the irony, of course, is that Piborn himself was a Luk Krim. He was part Chinese. Nevertheless, as Thailand's second largest ethno-linguistic minority, now one may quibble and say that the Lao were larger. They were now Thais who must speak Thai and only wear sarongs at home and while performing salat. Malays assessed the term Thai Muslim as indistinguishable from the oxymoronic Buddhist Muslims, and this is citing the work of Pierre Leroux, who is a French anthropologist who's done some amazing work in Thailand. The rural Malays of Thailand, as I note, of Patani, Yala and Narathiwan, don't even refer to Buddhists, let alone themselves, as Thais. In South Thailand, people refer to Thais as the Siamese or the Oge Siye or the Orang Siam. Duncan McCargo describes Thailand's nation-building elites as committed to the suppression of all notions of ethnic difference. This was a quietly repressive process that led to the widespread concealment, denial or downplaying of ethnic origins. In Thailand, Malay Muslims were accepted, but not Malays. And Michael Connors expresses similar sentiments by referring to Thainess as a ethno-ideology that tolerates subordinate identities but accepts no equals. Okay, so let's just have a look. Now, we'll go out of full screen for a while. We'll just come out of full screen for a while. Okay, so this is the paper trail. This is the paper trail these customary decrees in the late 1930s and 1940s was the regulation that led to the official use for the first time of referring to Muslims in the south of Thailand, and actually, as we'll see later on, and as we've seen before, Muslims in central Thailand who were ethnically very diverse. It was at this time that the military governments of the 1930s decided that they would attempt to give new names to people who had for a long time lived under their political influence. Some of them were Buddhists, some of them were Muslims, and some of them were animists, and new terms were used to describe these people. And with respect to Muslims, regardless of their ethnic background, whether they were Cham, whether they were Arab, whether they were Persian, whether they were Indian, whether they were Malay, they were just called Thai Muslims. So, but there's more. We need more evidence to really be able to make a good argument that this is indeed the case. And remember that there are some, not just some, but many, that when they think about ethnic identity, they are very committed to a primordialist or an essentialist perspective on these things. These identities have got a long history, they would argue. But if we were, for instance, if you were to travel around the Andaman coast from Phuket up into Panga and down through Krabi and Drang and Satun, you would come across many place names. And there are a number of old maps of the Andaman coast, and there are some epics that have been written based in the Andaman coast. For example, when the Siamese came down and forced the king of Kedah to help him expel the Burmese from Phuket, an epic was written, and as the naval forces from Kedah, from around near Penang, travelled up the coast, they mentioned different places, and so we have a long list of place names, and some of these place names still exist today, and they are all Malay, and others have been replaced by Thai place names. And so here are some examples of, and maybe we'll go back into full screen again so that we can see these. Here are some examples of places where place names have got clearly Malay names. And so, for example, Phuket has got a very clear mountain, especially when you come from the sea, and Phuket means hill or mountain in Malay. There are different place names in the Andaman coast where the names of mountains, the names of rivers, the names of bays. These have all got Malay names, and here are some examples of Malay names. But the processes, and so here we go. We've seen some of this material before. On the left is a map from Van Roy in his chapter on Muslim communities in Bangkok. And he shows the range of Cham, Persian, Arab, Indian, Malay, and Indonesian villages in the centre of Bangkok. But on the right-hand map is a summary of the larger Malay communities in Bangkok, and these are concentrated along the Sansat Canal because Chiloe prisoners from the south were brought up to Bangkok starting from the 1780s, and they were forced through corvée labour to dig the Sansat Canal. And so along the Sansat Canal concentrated a large number of specifically Malay Muslim communities. They are in many cases more recent than those near the Chao Phraya River. And so this provides us another insight into the creation of the origins of the ethnonym Thai Muslim, which until the 1930s was unlikely to have been used by people. They would have just referred to themselves as Malays. To go on, there are accounts of royal audiences being given to Muslims not only in central Thailand but up in Nakhon Thammarat, where the people were specifically referred to as Malays, not generically as Muslims, but through their ethnonym Malay. Okay, so let's go out of full screen now, and I think we'll take a pause, and what we're going to do now, what we're going to do in the next lecture, is we're going to compare the way in which ethnically diverse Muslims in Thailand, both in central Thailand and south Thailand. And in central Thailand, we've got Cham, we've got Persian, we've got Arab, we've got Malay, we've got Makassarese, we've got Indonesian, we've got Javanese, about how from the 1930s, the military governments and subsequent civilian governments preferred to talk about all Muslims, regardless of their ethnic background and their mother tongue, simply as Thai Muslims. So in the next session, we're going to be looking at the case of Malayness. So stay tuned for that.